Alright, good morning YouTube. I'm Curls the King, StanStrength.com. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my personal program for power building. This is an intermediate program because I consider myself to be an intermediate lifter. I can bench press 325, I can squat 375, and I can deadlift 525. Now, if you are unable to perform a bench press for 245, squat for 275, and deadlift for at least 315 or 365, I recommend running a novice program, which you can find on this channel and on my website as well. So this is my training, like this is what I'm currently training like as of April 25th, 2021. I made this program back in December and I've been running it since, and it's been working pretty well for me. I like the results that I'm getting. I like how strong I feel doing it, and it is enjoyable enough for me to stay consistent, but it's productive enough for me to actually see that it has value and is working. So this is what you're going to get when you download this PDF, because it is a free program. Like I said, it's free on my website. Go over there and download it and check out anything else if you want. We do have merch available on the site as well, so have some t-shirts and stuff like that, so check that out. So in this program, it's a power building program, and I'm going to include in the table of contents the ideal training schedule. This is a 4-day program with one optional arm day, and I say optional very loosely. There's a glossary that goes over certain terms that are used in this program, so that way you're able to clearly understand what I'm talking about and what they mean in relation to the program itself. And then it's the actual program. So it is divided into strength days, which are more focused on the development of movement patterns, the development of your 1 rep max, and size days, which are more bodybuilding days, days where you're focused mainly on actually building those muscles that you want to build. So for the ideal training schedule, there are 2 options that I give you. The first option is what I've been doing for the past couple years. For the past couple years, I've been following very much a kind of like a conjugate concurrent style training program. I was introduced to it by Alpha Destiny, and he has the idea of intensity days and volume days, and this is essentially that same idea. However, I decided to rename it, not just for the sake of actually being different, but actually because when I say intensity day and volume days, usually what comes into people's mind when they say that and try to apply it to their own training is they think on intensity days, everything I do will be 1 to 5 reps. And on volume days, I'm going to be doing everything in the 10 to 20 rep range. And that is not the real way to apply volume and intensity days. So when you want to build strength, you want to be training in a variety of rep ranges. And I would say that rep range is actually closer to 1 to 10, or maybe even, no, I'll stick with that, 1 to 10. And then on size days, you will still want to be training in a variety of rep ranges, but for that one, I would say it would be 6 to about 20 or 30. So in that first option, you're doing your 2 strength days, and this is very similar to most concurrent and conjugate style trainings where you will do max effort day, Monday, Tuesday, or some variation of that, and then you'll move on to your rest days. Now, you can do something where you do the strength lower, rest, then strength upper on Wednesday, then rest on Thursday, then Friday, Saturday you work out. The main reason why I decided not to do this is mainly because I do include an arm day, and also because I want my weekends to be very different than my actual week. I very much consider working out to be like work, and work that I actually enjoy and don't mind doing. So, and also because that rest day in between strength days, while it is beneficial, while it does work, I didn't find it to be so beneficial that I felt like it needed to be necessary and needed in how I program for myself. But if you feel you need that, put that in. So do a strength day, preferably the strength lower, rest on Tuesday, strength upper on Wednesday, rest on Thursday, then Friday, Saturday you do the other workouts. If you were to do that, I would put the arm day after the upper body day. Then on the second option, this is what I'm currently doing. This is something that I started experimenting with quite a few months ago, and that is where I do the strength lower, followed by the size upper, followed by an active rest or arm day, the size lower day, and then the strength upper day, and then active rest or arm day, and then followed by active rest or rest day. The reason why I like 4-day training programs, and I'm going to make a video on this to flesh it out, but it's because you have so much more options. Besides just building size and strength, you're actually able to develop other skills, talents, and adaptations. So for example, you can do cardio, you can do flexibility and mobility, you can play a sport, and you have now 2 to 3 days to do that. With 4 days, you're going to definitely be able to hit the muscle 2 times a week, and you're also going to be getting enough frequency per movement to actually get better at it. So that's why I personally prefer a 4-day split for almost all my programs. 5 and 6-day splits work, 3-day splits work, but how they do that has to be a bit more precise, in my opinion, than most people have them done. So the reason why I have it set up so I have a strength day then a size day is mainly because by separating my strength and size days by a significant amount of time, I find that my performance on both strength days is actually better. Better than, it's not substantially better, I would say. Like, you're not going to have like a plus 50 strength just by doing this, but generally speaking, because my size lower body days gives me more rest on my upper body, and also my size lower body day is not as taxing on my overall body, then I feel a lot better doing this. So sorry, let me just adjust my light real quick. So there's that, right? And then we'll go into the active rest days and arm days. So like I said, you can do other things on these days. You can do cardio, you can do mobility, you can do boxing, jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter. You now have time for your life. Take your dog on a hike, take your family on a hike. Do those things on these days, because now you're actually able to incorporate these things without too much of a hit on your workout program. If you run a 6-day training program, chances are when life happens, you are now going to miss a workout. But if you have a 4-day split, 4 days, you hit enough, you just hit just enough, and you get a lot out of it while still being able to live your life fully. So that's why I advocate a 4-day split. Then you have access to a glossary that just goes over certain terms that are available in the program itself. So I often forget that you and I might understand something about working out and fitness. So for example, when we say squat, we usually mean the barbell squat, but we do need to make that clear. So that's why I incorporate BB, DB, because I don't want to just type out everything. And if I were to write that on a napkin and give it to someone, they'll often say to me, what the hell is BB squat? And it's barbell squat. And that's not a fault of them because they just don't know. It's a fault of me for not understanding that we don't have that shared experience, and I need to actually let them know what that means. So that's what the purpose of glossary is. So that way when you see terms in the program, you're actually able to understand what I mean by it. Now let's get into the actual program. So day 1, strength lower. You're going to start out with the conventional deadlift. The reason why I like having the strength lower day being day 1 is because you have 2 days of rest preceding before it. Even if you did an arm day, doing an arm day is not going to prevent you from lifting close to your max on a deadlift day. At least not for me. I've not noticed that for myself and for the clients who I have running a very similar program that is derived from this template. There are 2 options with progression. First option is a cluster set progression. Now cluster sets, rest pause, they have their place, they have their value, but I think that for the most part, for the purpose of developing strength, it's pretty subpar, with the one exception of the deadlift. Me personally, I have found great success in developing my deadlift strength using the 1 to 3 rep range. I don't really stray too far above that, with the exception of when I'm trying to volumize my deadlift, but even then I very rarely go above 6 reps. I'm actually more prone to staying with the 1 to 3 and 2 to 5 rep range. The 3 to 6 rep range works just as well, and it's very valid, but it's not my first choice personally, but it still works. Now, for the cluster set progression, you're going to make progress by decreasing the amount of rest times you take. So first, you'll kind of do like a every minute on the minute kind of deadlift session, where every minute on the minute, you're going to do 1 perfect single. You're going to do the perfect repetition 1 time, each time, for at the top of every minute, and you'll go from there. You can do 10 sets, you can do 15 sets, you can do 10 sets of doubles. You can make that adjustment if you want to get a bit more volume, and if you find that you're able to do so. They all will work, and I'm not against using that implementation in any way. Then you will kind of decrease the amount of rest times. With the decrease in rest times, you can keep the reps the same, or you can even try to add reps, but I would recommend doing them one or the other, not at the same time. So you go from 60 seconds to 45 seconds to 30 seconds, so that way there's less time in between sets, but your reps are still perfect, and you're still getting 10 quality reps at 80% of your 1 max, which is more than enough to elicit a strength response, strength adaptations. Now, if you're unable to perform a rep after a rest interval, so let's say 60 seconds pass and you don't feel ready to do another single, take another rest interval as needed. So you can take 1 or 2, but the thing is, your goal is once you can hit 80% of your 1 max for 10 sets of 1 on the top of every minute, that's when you'll know you need to decrease the rest times and perform that feat again. It's going to allow you to be more fit. It's going to allow you to get used to lifting this weight, because one thing that I personally advocate for is to keep your strength and tonnage fairly consistent and jump it very slowly, to add weight very slowly. I want you to solidify your adaptations to a certain lift, so that way you don't just peak and crash. Next, you have an evolving rep range option. This is where I was mentioning why my deadlift doesn't really go above the 1 to 3 rep range, or the 2 to 5, or even the 3 to 6. That's another valid rep range that I've experimented with in the past to great success. And for this one, what I like to do is you're going to go through 2 progressions for the deadlift, a minimum of 2. You can do 3. The reason being, I prefer you to build the amount of volume you can do with a certain lift at a certain weight, so that way you're actually making sure you're not just going to the gym on a good day where you can actually lift the weight, but you're legitimately getting stronger. Your actual baseline of performance is increasing, meaning whether you're tired, whether you're a little bit more fatigued, whether or not the perfect circumstances around you are there, you are still strong as hell. Now, the 2 progressions that I have you going through is the 1 to 3 rep range and the 2 to 5 rep range. The 3 to 6 rep range I'll kind of go over, but I don't write that into the program. But if you want me to, I will. For the 1 to 3 rep range, so let's say this is your first 3 weeks. You're going to do 3 sets of 1 at 80%. Then you're going to do 2-1-1 and then 3-2-1. So you're going to do 3 reps followed by 4 reps, then 6 reps. Then you take a deload. So since it's a deload, what I recommend you do is just go down to 3 sets of 1, or you do 1 set of 3. That's half the amount of that's the half amount of volume, so half the amount of reps, but you're still doing the same weight. You're still using 80%. Then the next week after that deload, you do 3 sets of 2, 3-3-2, then 5-3-2. So you're going from 6 reps to 8 reps to 10 reps. And then after that, you add 2.5 pounds and you repeat that process of 1 to 3, going through the 1 to 3 rep range, then the 2 to 5. You can, if you wanted to, add the 3 to 6 rep range as the next progression, which your goal then would be the 6-5-4 rep goal. So now you're going from 10 reps to 15 reps, but there's other sets in between, and then you're good from there. And then you add weight. This way, you're allowed to stay with a certain weight for longer, develop more volume with it, and that's going to not only carry over to strength gains, but it's also going to carry over to comfortable progression. So I don't mean to say comfortable in a way that progression should be easy, because if you actually try this, it's fairly difficult. But at the same time, when it comes to progression, I don't want progression to just be adding weight all the time. Think about how long it will take you to just burn out and crash. If you just were to add weight literally every single week, you're not going to get better. You might increase temporarily, but I am more so of a fan of long-term progression and commitment, so that's why I prefer doing this. So one thing you can do is you can actually combine these 2 options, and let's say for the first couple weeks you start out doing cluster sets, and then you would use an evolving rep range, and then you repeat that process. After you add 2.5 pounds or 10 pounds, you repeat this process, and that allows you to extend the length of this program's life and go from there. That is an option. Next, we have the deadlift variation. So after you do your main conventional deadlift work, I'm a conventional deadlift puller, but you can change it out with sumo, but yeah, I have my opinions on that. But anyway, you're going to do a deadlift variation. Now there is a list of deadlift variations at the bottom, which are the recommended variations for this part of the workout. So this is kind of like your supplementary work. And here I recommend using an evolving rep range regardless. So you're going to be using the 3 to 6 rep range. So week 1, try to hit 4-3-3. That's 10 total reps. Then you hit 5-4-3, which is, I'm so bad at math, but 12 reps. Then 6-5-4, which is 15 reps. This is still very much in the strength range, but you're doing more reps than you were in the earlier part of the session where you're focusing more so on weight. After that, you're going to be doing a superset with the front squat variation. And front squat variation, it can be barbell front squat. It can be, I need to edit that. It can be the barbell front squat, goblet squat, front squat with a box, front squat off pins, and you go from there. Then you have chin-ups. You do as many reps as possible for each set, but there's 2 things. One, you need to change your grip each time. So when I do my front squats, it's 4 sets. So what I'll do is I'll alternate between chin-ups, neutral grip pull-ups, and then wide grip pull-ups. What I've noticed is that if I stick to one type of pull-up for too long, my elbows, I'll start to develop some pain and some tendonitis in there. But if I switch the variation every time I do a pull-up, it actually allows me to train the pull-up very frequently, because I'm a heavy guy and I like training, so I don't want to be having to deal with that, so that's why I do that. And then since you're already hanging from a bar, do some hanging leg raises. Chances are you can hang for a bar longer than you could do pull-ups, so after you do your chin-ups, do some hanging leg raises. Next, we have an accessory superset of the arms. The arms are the legs of the upper body. It's really like the reason why I prefer training arms on upper body is just so that way I have a reason to actually go to the gym on leg day. But but legitimately, I think that when it comes to arm training, frequency is more than valid, especially if you're a power builder, because think about the amount of time it takes you to just do the deadlift portion. So the conventional deadlift and the deadlift variation, that's going to be about 30 to 40 minutes of your workout right there. And you still have the superset of the front squat, chin-ups, and hanging leg raises, which can take 10 to 15 minutes. So if you're trying to keep your workout under like at an hour or under 90 minutes for sure, this is usually how I want to go about it. So after that, I do upright rows or face pulls, something for the rear delts, because deadlifts will work the back and the traps to an extent. And then I do bicep curls, hamstring curls, or leg press. So the decision here is quite simply this. I don't really care about my leg size personally. I think they're big enough already. So I do hamstring curls mainly for injury prevention, because stronger hamstrings, it's kind of like having stronger triceps. You can never have too strong of a tricep. The stronger tricep you have, the more safe you will be when you do certain presses. So same logic there for hamstring curls. If you do hamstring curls, do abs. If you do the leg press, do calves. You're already there, might as well do it. When it comes to supersets, I base my supersets off of convenience. And that is it for the strength lower day. So if you'll notice, there are footnotes. Option 1, option 2. So the cluster set option, I believe, is best if your 1 rep max is greater than 405. If you have a 1 rep max of less than 405, I think you're still within that range where it's most important for you to develop volume at lower percentages, volume at sub-maximal training. I think that's a very valid way to get stronger for any lift, but at certain points it becomes less than ideal. So think about it. If you can deadlift 500 pounds, suddenly doing 80% for rep work becomes a bit harder. And I mean, let's take this to an even further extreme. Like let me pull out the calculator, because like I said, I'm horrible at math. But if let's say your deadlift max is 700 and you do 80%, that's still 560 pounds. Heavy weight is heavy weight. It doesn't matter if you get stronger. It just means you can lift heavy stuff. It doesn't mean the stuff you lift isn't heavy anymore. So you kind of have to make that training decision and training adjustment as you get stronger. And like I said, this is an intermediate program. I'm not blessed or gifted by any means. I worked my way to where I'm at, and this is what I found works for me. So deadlift variations that I recommend: the stiff leg deadlift, the snatch grip deadlift, the deficit deadlift, sumo deadlift, pause deadlift, and block pull. So you can actually combine any one of these variations with each other, like a stiff legged snatch grip deadlift, a stiff leg deficit deadlift, a pause deficit, a pause snatch grip, a sumo deadlift with a pause, a sumo deadlift off blocks. So you have an endless number of variations that you can now progress on. When it comes to progressions on accessory exercises, it's mainly because with these accessory exercises, chances are they're weaker than your conventional deadlift. So what I prefer to do here is I prefer to volumize them and get better at them over a 3-week cycle, where I will do the evolving rep range of 433 to 543 654. And then after I complete that evolving rep range, I move on to a different variation, build up the strength there because it will help build up a weakness in my conventional, and I'll move on, get stronger at both. So I already went over these squat variations earlier in the video, so does that, and also like you will have access to this program. Let's move on to the size upper day. So when it comes to upper body days, I'm very, very hesitant when an upper body day features a shit ton of pressing, because it introduces the risk of junk volume. Now, this is my kind of way around that, where I'm still able to hit the muscle from different angles, still able to train very intensely, but still manage time. Now, what you'll notice is that I have the overhead press, the incline bench press, and then the bench press, all one after the other. Why do I do this, and how do I get this done? So first, it's very important to, like when you start out a workout, right? Usually you have a general warm-up where you're getting your core body temperature up, you're doing some type of cardio, doing some type of mobility, stretching, dynamic stretching preferably, and then you go into your main weights. And then during that time, you do a pyramid up to your working weight, and then you do your working sets. All I'm doing is on that pyramid, rather than warming up that specific movement pattern, I'm warming up the muscles associated. I can get away with this because I'm an intermediate. I know how to bench press. At any given time, you can tell me to get underneath the bench. I'm going to get into the good proper setup, and I'm going to have good form. With novices, they need to have that practice and that form work at those lower percentages, so that way when they get to the heavyweight, they are already kind of primed in a sense to do that. But since I've been doing thousands of bench presses over the years, the necessity of that for me is slightly lower. Obviously, I don't want to ever say technique work is not important, and technique can always be refined, but I can refine it with much less, let's say, work and attention than I believe a novice could. So when I'm doing that pyramid, your overhead press is going to be weaker than your incline press, and your incline press is probably going to be weaker than your flat bench. Meaning, on that pyramid, the amount of weight that you can use is very, very similar. So for example, with the overhead press, my bench press 1 rep max is 325. So when I do 70 to 75% of that work, it's 225. So the way I divide it up is I go to I do one set of a 6 to 10 rep max on the overhead press, and that usually is around anywhere between, I did 135 last week for 12, so I'm probably going to have to do 155 and try to build up to bringing that up from whatever number it is at right now to a 10 to 10 plus max, and then go from there. With the incline bench, my incline I've neglected for quite a while, so it's very lacking. So it's around like 205 for 6 to 10 reps, which I can do comfortably. But it still allows me to stay underneath 225, which is going to be the working weight for this right here, and go from there. It's basically just me doing the pyramiding up to my working weights with different exercises. That's why I can get away with it. They're not working exercises on their own. They're just kind of like fitted in there. But at the same time, it's not doing nothing for my physique either, because this is a size day. I'm still getting a good amount of volume to warm up for the bench press, which is the main pressing movement of the day, but it still activates and stimulates hypertrophy and muscle damage in these other movements because I am lifting pretty heavy. So like I said, I usually do 135 here, but now that I broke 10 reps on it and did 12, I'm gonna have to increase the weight and then go there. Same thing here. Like once I can get this to about, like, let's say whatever I need to get it to. Sorry, I can't really think right now. And then I go from there. But then finally, once it's time, so let's say I hit 205 and I hit 8 reps. On my next set, I'm going to decline the bench to a flat position and then just go into the barbell bench press. At which point, I can just throw on 225. I just warmed up my shoulders and triceps with the overhead press. Then I did the incline bench, which helped warm up the upper chest. I've done a lot of pressing up until that point, and the weight progressively got heavier. I usually go from 45 for 10, 95 for 10, then 115, then 135 on overhead press. Then I go from 135 to 155 to 185 to 205, and then finally 225 on the bench. That's all within the span of 20 to 30 minutes. So, like, probably closer to 30 to be honest. But that's why I'm able to do that. And then I do one set of AMRAP, I see. So 70 to 75% of a 1 rep max. So like I said, that's around 225 for me. And I set a rep goal of 20 to 30 reps, and I perform as many sets as needed. Usually I just try to do maybe one more rep than last week, but it's done in a very careful way. So let's say, for example, I did 225 for 16 one week. The next week I hit it for 15. Rather than trying to, so let me restart. So if I hit it for 16 one week and 15 the next, because the total rep is, let's say 20 to 30, the amount of sets I do to get to that point will vary, but I'm still hitting 30 total reps. But because my performance per set has decreased, I take a set off of an accessory and then to get a little bit more recovery, and hopefully the next time I do the bench, I'm good. So there are supersets with each movement. So with the barbell overhead press, I prefer doing chin-ups, vertical push, vertical pull. The barbell incline bench press followed by a dumbbell row. Reason being, I want supersets that are available to you to be as simple and easy as possible. Supersets should be fairly convenient if you are working in a commercial gym, because you don't want to be that guy who is taking up equipment across the fucking gym. That's why my supersets might seem lazy, but it's really just working in the constraint that I don't have a home gym. I work out in the presence of other people, so I have to be considerate. And that's why I prefer doing dumbbell rows when I do a barbell bench press. Another thing you could do, this is what I used to do quite a while ago, is I would like kind of like get the bar in a zercher position, bring the bar down to the floor, and then barbell row it. And so that way my barbell row and my barbell bench press, I was using the exact same weight. That can be done. That's very good for conditioning as well. But I guess I kind of got lazy with that. But anyway. Then we do the barbell bench press with an inverted row or rear delt row. So that way you have, chin ups, lats, then you have the mid back traps, and then same thing, rear delts mainly should be like rear delts and lats here. So no matter what kind of pressing you're doing, you're always doing a pull, and that's great. After that, you have, if time, you'll do 3 to 5 sets of 8 to 12 reps. So if you were to do both supersets, because both supersets are fairly similar, I recommend that if you were to do both, just do 3 and 3. And then kind of going from there. But these two supersets are mainly for the purpose of bodybuilding. These are giant sets. I'll make that adjustment. But these are giant sets. So after you do one set of an exercise, you go directly into the next one and you repeat that process. So after the forearm curls, you don't take a minute just to go back to the barbell row. You've already spent a lot of time away from it, enough time away from it to go back into it. Now you can take that 1 minute rest or 1.5 minute rest if you need to, but generally speaking, you probably spend enough time away from it and you can get back into it. Now it says tricep extensions, bicep curls, which is another way of just saying a variation of it. And these are the recommended exercises. And if you read across, it kind of was written with the intent of just reading them across and you already have a good superset there. So for example, overhead barbell extension followed by a barbell curl followed by a reverse curl. You could sandwich them between each other. That might work as well, but I find that it's not that big of a difference, and I kind of prefer that better pump I get by doing them one after the other. But a pump is not indicative of hypertrophy, so sandwiching them in between each other is not a bad idea either. So but you're using a barbell, so it's very easy to just do the overhead barbell extension followed by barbell curls followed by reverse curls. Even if the strength is different, what I recommend you do is that you only use the amount of weight that you can curl and reverse curl, because you can probably extend that. Your triceps are probably stronger than your biceps. So what you'll do is just compensate with, you're doing more reps on the extension than you are on the curl and the reverse curl. Don't be an asshole and go too heavy. I'm going to make videos going over my favorite arm exercises and showing you the form on them, so that way you'll be able to see what I mean when I say seated incline dumbbell extension. Some people, they'll already see that in their mind and know what it means, but some might not. But yeah. So the footnotes, like I said, this just includes what a sample workout might be like. You start out at 45, which is the empty bar, then you build up to 135, then you do a 135 AMRAP, then you do 135, 185, 205 for incline, then go from there, and that's your size upper day. Size lower. So my lower body day, I do 1 to 3 sets of an AMRAP with 75% of my 1 rep max, and I set a rep goal for a single set or a total amount of reps to be completed in that session. Now, I have a history of leg injuries. Hip, knee, ankle, you name it. I have a history of injury with that. And I'm trying to work through it and try to kind of bulletproof them with certain exercises, but it's taking a while. This is actually the heaviest I've been able to squat since those injuries developed. But yeah, so 1 to 3 sets with as many reps as possible with 75% of my 1 rep max. I don't treat the squat the same way I treat the bench and deadlift, mainly because it's not my biggest priority. Like I said, I don't care about my squat strength as much. I still want to be able to squat 500, but it's not as big of a priority as it is for me to get to a 405 bench and a 600-pound deadlift. So in terms of the hierarchy of how it's trained, the progression on the squat will be significantly slower. So that's why it's done like that. Next, for your accessory, your supplementary movement, I should say, you're going to pick a choice of 2 supersets. So first choice, because you already did your barbell squats, you have the barbell rack available to you. You're going to do good mornings in the 8 to 12 rep range, followed by chin-ups. All bodyweight exercises are done to failure. Well, I would say volitional failure. When it comes to, and the reason why I say that is because I'm 265 pounds. I can't rep out chin-ups and pull-ups the way I could when I was 225. So when I do this, I always do my bodyweight exercises to about an RPE 7, RPE 8, meaning I'm like anywhere between 2 to 3 reps away from failure, so that way I'm still able to perform multiple sets in a training session. If I take a set to failure, the likelihood of me performing more sets decreases. So that's why I say 7 to 8 RPE when bodyweight exercises and go to volitional failure. After that, you're going to do a 10 sets of 3 every minute on the minute with 65 to 70% of your 1 rep max on the trap bar deadlift. The reason why I include that there is because it is somewhere in the middle of a hinge and a squat, and it gives you the opportunity to work the deadlift another time in your week, which it's the necessity of working your deadlift multiple times in a week will vary depending on your level of advancement. I am an advocate for doing some type of deadlift 2 times a week, but they shouldn't be the exact same. That's option 1. You have a hip hinge and something closer to a squat, but still has a hinge component to it, especially if you modify the form. Or you can do the Romanian deadlift, and you can choose between a dumbbell or a barbell, and you do chin-ups. So chin-ups are the exact same, but if you were to do the dumbbell version, I recommend that you do about 50% of your weight in both hands. So so 50% on both hands, and then meaning like 25 and 25, I believe. Like that's what I mean. Yeah. So sorry. So yeah, you have 25% of your weight in both hands. So one dumbbell is 25% of your weight, another dumbbell is 25% of weight, and you do 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 20. Or if you do the barbell version, 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 10, since you were able to overload it. And those are my 2 preferred ways to kind of go about training the RDL. After that, you do a hack squat. So when I say hack squat, I typically refer to either the hack squat machine, like if you have that in your gym, or doing a squat with your feet slightly out in front of you in a Smith machine. And you can either do that or just a regular leg press followed by calves. So these are your kind of 2 options. If you care more so about leg size, I would recommend the latter. If you're more so about, let's say, performance, strength development, injury prevention, I would prefer the former. And you can switch them out. So for example, you can do one of this pairing, the good morning and trap bar, and pair that with the hack squat and leg press. You can do that. That's an easy adjustment to make. After that, you have 2 options. So choose one again. A bodybuilding option where you're going to do upright rows, hamstring curls, bicep curls, calves, and abs for 2 to 4 sets of 10 to 20, or a conditioning option. So if you're more so caring about, let's say, general fitness and performance, you can just set a timer for 10 to 20 minutes, whatever you have left on your workout. So let's say by this point it's taking you about 40 minutes. You can set a timer for 20 minutes to just do as many rounds as possible with a sled push and sled pull, resting as much as you need to for as long as you need to. Next, we have the strength upper day. So right now, I am currently trying to improve my rep maxes on my, when I discuss strength, I'm indirectly improving my 1 rep max. I'm using a more volume-based approach rather than just purely intensity or a max effort approach. And what I'm doing is in the 80 to 85% of my 1 rep max, I'll perform 15 to 18 total reps, either with an evolving, and I'll try to do that within 3 to 4 sets. So an example of this is when I did 7, 6, 5. So that's when I did 18 total reps with 275. And then from there, I add a little bit of weight, and I would repeat that process trying to build up from there. Some weeks, you're going to notice that you might not be as strong for whatever reason. Life, stress, your training maybe. And what you'll do is you'll have that ability to match last week with that 4th set. At least that's what I noticed for me. Because like my performance will only like vary by about maybe 1 to 2 reps. It's never more than that. So that the week after I hit 765, I was able to hit 3 sets of 6, which is 18 reps still. So my total tonnage was about the same, but I wasn't able to hit a 7th rep on my first set, but I was able to hit 3 sets of 6. And then the week after that, I was able to hit 7 again, and I was able to do 7, 6, 5 again, and we kind of go from there. But the volume stays more consistent. I'm staying with the weight for a lot longer. I'm making sure I master the weight before I move on. If you can hit 15 reps in 3 sets though, I recommend using a lighter weight. And like I said, this can mean you do 7, 5, 3, that's 15 reps. But if you fail to do that, then I would just recommend you drop down the weight. And then another option is you do the evolving rep range in the 2 to 5, 3 to 6, and 4 to 8 range. After that, you do a barbell row variation followed by parallel bar dips. So dips, body weight movement, you do them for as many reps as possible. You can, and if you can add weight, but still same logic applies even if you add weight in my opinion. You go to an RPE 7 or 8 with the added weight and do as many reps as you can. For the barbell row, I prefer the 3 to 4 sets to 6 to 10 or 8 to 12 reps, mainly because, like I said, I do chin-ups on all my training days. I do chin-ups here as a superset of the bench press. So because of how heavy I am, it's basically me doing strength work on it, so really high intensity work on a chin-up or a pull-up. So that means I try to do more volume when I do rows. After that, I do dumbbell overhead press, standing, and then I do lat pull downs. This allows me to do an exercise that is not as mentally and physically draining because I just did 4 mentally draining and physically fatiguing exercises, and I'm now able to break that up with something that's going to hit a body part that has been somewhat neglected by these movements, because this is chest, this is mainly triceps or some chest depending on how forward you lean, and then shoulders. Obviously the shoulders are involved, but they're not the main movement and the main focus of where the tension is going, so that's why I include it. And also gives me more volume because, like I said, when I do my chin-ups, it's by nature low rep, but now I'm able to do high reps on 2 different pull variations. After that, I do a giant set with back off sets with lateral raises, barbell bicep curls, or a barbell or a Smith machine tricep extension. Let's see. One thing that I will say is that if you want to replace parallel bar dips with something, I recommend replacing it with a dumbbell press. One moment, please. Okay. All right, I'm back. After that, we have the arm day. So the arm day, the way I have it usually set up is like this. So I do a heavy tricep extension followed by chin-ups or barbell curls. This is usually after the general warm-up where I do some type of cardio, and I do like some specific warm-ups when I do this. It's pyramiding up, but also I do some band work. So band work for my elbows, shoulders, and rear delts. When it comes to the heavy tricep exercise, I prefer using the Smith machine extension, the close grip bench press, or the JM press. And I follow that up with chin-ups or barbell curls. Now, chin-ups are an okay bicep builder. The reason why I include them in there is because if you're a power builder who cares about size versus a body lifter who wants to be strong, if you're a bodybuilder who wants to be strong, bicep curls will make more sense. If you are a power lifter who still wants some amount of size, chin-ups probably make sense for you. From here, because of it's the heavy movement for the day, I tend to do 5 sets of 3 to 6 or 4 to 8. So that means you're getting anywhere between 15 reps or 30 reps or 20 reps and 40 reps, which is more than enough for size. After that, I do a dumbbell curl variation. So I prefer the standing dumbbell curl or the seated incline dumbbell curl or the dumbbell spider curl. These are variations that I feel on my bicep immediately, and I follow that up with a dumbbell overhead tricep extension. When it comes to building the arm, I find that most of your isolation work for your triceps should be long head focused. So overhead tricep extensions are a great example of this. Reason being, a lot of the pressing movements that you do already hit the tricep to a great degree. After that, you can do tricep extension variations, overhead or in their traditional fashion if you want to get a bit more volume there, followed by a preacher curl. This can be done with a free weight or with a machine if you have a machine that you really like in your gym. For example, there's one in my gym that I really like and I use that one. After that, I like to do hammer curls or reverse curl, so that way I'm working my the muscle right underneath the bicep or my forearms, and the hammer curl works the forearms as well. And then I follow that up with a bodyweight exercise such as push-ups and dips. These ones I do not load. These ones you should do only body weight, and these are kind of meant to help you burn out the muscle even more, and then you're good from there. Adjustments you can make to this day is that you can throw in lateral raises and ab exercises at the very end of these pairings. So let's say you do the heavy tricep extension and the chin-ups or barbell bicep curl, then you do some hanging leg raises or some oblique work, and then you go on to the next exercise. Or you do lateral raises and the oblique work, and then you move on to the next exercise. That is all very valid. Arm day has that freedom because this should only take you about 45 minutes at most. Even if you were to include the lateral raises and ab exercises, that's how long it should take you to do an arm day. It should not be very long, and you should be fairly fresh afterwards. So this video is getting pretty long, so the only thing left in the program is a FAQ where you'll have questions such as how long should I rest? Is this a novice program, which I've answered already? Can women run this program? and other questions that I feel like you might find useful. But that is it for this video. This is a free program that I have on my website. Please check it out, run it if you would like, make modifications. Let me know how it works for you. And if there are any modifications that you feel like you want to make, feel free to ask. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm King, StanceStrength.com. Please get the program off my website. You'll get the free PDF and check out merch. This is the fundamental t-shirt where it has my logo on the front and back, and it's in black. So the reason why I have a black on black option is because I actually like that look a lot, but more so than that, with a lot of, let's say, gym focused brands, it's very loud, high profile, and like you can clearly see that you're like wearing a branded t-shirt. But I prefer that black on black look because it gives you the opportunity to support a brand or someone you respect or like or admire or like what the brand stands for without having it be super telegraphed to everyone in the world. So this is my favorite one. Like unless the light is hitting it, which is happening right now, the logo can easily disappear. So that way you can just wear this with any old outfit. But there's other programs, there's other merchandise on the website as well that might suit what you're looking for. So thank you so much for watching again. I'm King, StanceStrength.com. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.